Hey guys, welcome to another review. I'm Mr. P and today I'm going to be doing this little beastie. This is the AGA T5 from UD or Yodi. Yep, so that's what I'm doing. I got this from the guys at SpainCigar, so thank you for that. So yep, AGA T5, a little bit of information about it first of all. Price on SpainCigar is €28. Now, that's around about £22.50 there or thereabouts. A touch over 20 quid, not too shabby at all. Let's just have a little look, see what else we've got. Right, this is a Kayfun style tank. So, you know, finally UD have broken into that. You know, they had the T7, the T6 as well, and T5. So we're getting into that silica cotton style atomizer. I do like that because their build quality was always fantastic. I just never was a big Genesis fan. Right, stainless steel and gold plated brass is what this has got in it. You'll see on the close up. 304 food grade stainless steel, spot on. 3.5 mil capacity. And it weighs just under 100 grams. Anything else will go into on the other side of the close-up. That's just a brief bit of information about it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this and stick it down on the table, do the quick little close-up, and then come back up to me and have a nice little vape. Right guys, a little close-up of the UD AGA T5 from SpainCigar. So first of all, as we've kind of come to expect now, a nice little UD presentation box, all the relevant markings on the back, okay, barcodes, CE marks, QR codes, you know, the whole shebang really. So let's remove her from her outer sleeve first of all. There we go. So just an outer sleeve, but you know, part of the presentation box, lovely. I think firstly what we'll do is if we flip this over, okay, a bit more on the back here, okay, and then open her up, you've got some paperwork here with installation of a wicking coil and all of the component parts there, and then we'll go down into the spares, and we always give you good spares, UD. What have we got? I've actually got a coil in there. Hello. We've got a screw, positive screw or negative screw. There's an O-ring here for the insulation of the bottom of the 510 by the looks of it. Loads and loads of O-rings here for the body. A bit of silica, a bit of eco wool, and an Allen key. Okay, and an Allen key. Right, let's put that down there then. Put that back there, and then if we flip her over, open her up again. Writing bump through Dugan just on there in case you wanted to have a little look and see what that says, and then a ribbon to pull out the AGA. So let's get rid of all the stuff we don't need. Let's have a little look at her first of all. So chromed or bright, oh, this is not chrome stainless steel, this is definitely stainless steel. Polished stainless steel and polished brass, I would imagine, or brass chrome anyway. So I don't really know where to start. UD AGA T5 just there, very very reflective this guy, so sorry about the glare. Tank, top cap, 510 with a gold plated or brass plated connection there. Stand 5 in connection, 510 drip tip just up there. I'll tell you what, let's just take her apart, see what it gives. So what's going on here? Okie dokie, looks like a chamber section there, which means, okay, so we've got sort of a top cap situation there, and your central tube connects to your top, O-rings and glass tank, Pyrex glass tank, O-ring at the top there. I believe this is top fill because we have an O-ring there, sorry, a screw there, and I'd imagine that's what the Allen key's for, but oh, hello, no, we have got movement. Aha, there we go. O-ringed, double O-rings on. It's very bling, very very gold coloured, and then you've got what I would imagine your Allen keys for there. So let's just pop that in, unscrew her. Yep, okay. So that is there. Is how we fill it up. I'm not actually going to push that back all the way on because that was a bit tight, to be honest. Little scratch on my hand, sorry. And like I say, glass tank. I'm guessing juice sits here. sort of above this chamber, you know, so your chamber there's got an O-ring on and it sits in there. So as you fill it up, your juice will sit down there in them holes surrounding this chamber. And yes, there we go, we've got a couple of juice notches there and there. Open the top here. Again, O-rings everywhere, so hopefully lack of leaks. And there we go, micro coil and cotton. Go on, UT. Is this? Yes, it does. This bottom appears to unscrew. There we go. I'm cheating, guys, I've actually taken this apart, but there we go. So the bottom does appear to unscrew, and you have got an adjustable airflow on this bad boy. So let me just do this up, and then just a very simple control ring there all the way through, or you can lock half off as much as you like off. The main reason I haven't, usually I would wash out all of the, let me zoom you in a bit, it might be a bit easier for the glare. Usually I would wash out all of the atomizers I get before using them, but I thought for an off-the-shelf product to get that in was very impressive. Now, to be honest with you, let me grab my tweezers. Where are they bloody gone? Things always elude me. Let me grab my tweezers. To be honest with you, the sheer amount of cotton there, I would say, I mean, don't get me wrong, the cotton's not bad in the coil, but the sheer amount of it in there, I would say, is a bit too much. I may be wrong, I haven't played about with it, as I say, but I am going to take this apart and wash it all before I do a review. And I want to put one of my own coils in, obviously, but I wanted to show you that that was in there. Let me just grab a screwdriver and we will remove the coil, in fact, just to see what our air path is like underneath. Jesus, I don't know what wire this is they're using, but it's bloody thick. It's 0.35, maybe even 0.4, I don't know. Don't undo the screw completely, like me. Mr. P is an idiot, because that is how I lose probably half of the screws from all of the atomizers I've ever owned. Is in that fashion. Undo them too much, not pay attention, and off they go. So you got a pretty big, might be easier if I bring you to it, pretty big air hole down there with no obstruction. So I feel like it's about 2 mil, and obviously it's a fairly, I mean, to be honest with you, let's look at what we've got here. Coil over the air hole, juice paths, very Kayfun like if you ask me. So that I am a big fan of. So obviously we build our coil, stick that there like so. This goes over the top of it like so, and then obviously our glass tank on, Pyrex, lovely, and then that goes on like so, and then we just chop some e-liquid at the top. In fact, you know what, I'm going to go away, guys. I'm going to wash this, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to recoil it for you and show you all that properly how it should be done, stop being such a half-assed lazy git, and then after that we'll come back up to me and we'll have a proper vape. Right, guys and dolls, I have been away, giving it a wash, and I've stuck a coil in it, and in fact it's been about a week since I did the close-up, if I'm honest with you. I've been using it, so you know, that's what I did. I actually did a coil in it since I went away, and I thought, no, I'm going to use it for a while, more than I already had. So that's what I've done. So yeah, we're about a week later now, so yeah, I've chucked a standard micro in it. I was going to go with a sort of a macro size coil because there is room for it, and the size of the juice channels look like to be able to wick, you know, very, very decently. I decided to go with what I knew best because I think these channels will keep up, or I thought they would anyway. We'll go over whether they did or not in a minute. So I wanted to use a coil that I'm very used to, because you know I'm used to it. I can compare it the best against the stuff I've repaired it against before. I'm going to use some Japanese cotton. This is Nakamichi cotton. This is a cliff note on that. Lee actually sent me some additional cotton that he believed was very much like Nakamichi, but far, far cheaper. I might do a little video on that soon, just to compare the two, if there is any difference at all. So we'll give that a little twist at one end. That's going to be our, there we go, that's going to be our wick. Nakamichi, you got to go gentle with it, don't put too much in. So then feed her through. I always have problems with this. Let's try again. Really tight on the front, really tight on the front. So feed that through, and then grab it on the other side and give her a pull. So about there. Now first of all I'm going to lose that. Okay, now where is my screwdriver? There we are. So what I'm going to do is just very quickly plonk that in there and plonk that in there. Now to be honest with you, I've tried a few different builds in here. You'll see how much cotton is actually in there. This atomizer, especially of this type, you know, with a sort of channels for the juice, they tend to be pretty unforgiving. I'm actually happy with that. Pretty unforgiving when it comes to over wicking. You know, as in, if you put too much in, it's not going to have it. But for purposes of this and to demonstrate what I've been doing with it, because I would actually generally I've been using a lot more cotton than that. So I'm going to get some of this Nakamichi. I'll cut a sliver off. I'm going to split it sort of down the middle like that. So I have two pieces. I'm then going to grab one, stick it down the back here, and bring it all the way around the front there, and all the way around there. Okay, I'm then going to grab this one and do the opposite side. Stick it down there, and all the way around there. Now, I don't know what it is, but it seems to be able to hold a ridiculous amount of juice and cotton in this chamber. So what I'm going to do is just very quickly prime that. Now I do not want to over prime the outside of this. This is a very high VG juice, guys, so it may take a minute. The outside of this, because basically where your cap comes in and sits on top, we need to pull that cotton in and away, but it kind of almost needs that amount of cotton in it at the same time. Don't get me wrong, it will wick just fine without it. In fact, sometimes a little bit too fine. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Kind of like, it looks like a cartomizer in there. So then what I'm going to do is screw our cap on like so. Okay, I'm going to zoom you out a little bit for this next bit. Remove this cotton. So like so, as you see before I went off how to put it all together, but we'll go for it again. So you know, a connection's made between this O-ring there and then the hole in the deck just down there. So we'll do that here now. Beautiful. Right, let's do that up tight, and obviously juice is fed down here and here. Then we'll grab our glass, stick our glass on, literally just sitting on top of that O-ring, very similar to the AGA T4 Jenny tank. The glass just sitting on top of O-rings, which give you your seal. Now obviously make sure your glass is in properly before you go screwing this down, because if you don't, you will crack that bugger. So there we go, and then all we've got to do really is fill her up. Now I'll go into that now. Let me just undo this Allen key screw, and I do hate the fact this is an Allen key screw, because I mean, countersink it there and put a Phillips in, it would have achieved the same thing. There is a problem when it comes to filling this. Now I could demonstrate that to you, but then I'd have to empty it all to then fill it again for you. Basically, this kind of bottle here is what we most of us have. You put that in there like that, and it just fits nicely, okay? But because of that, the air is escaping from the chamber, and then you'll fill and fill and fill. Up here you'll only see half full in the juice, the juice is half full in the tank, sorry, but then all of a sudden your e-liquid is coming out of here, which means it's filled the entire chamber all the way up the tube to there. Now as long as you don't pull that bottle away, you then stop squeezing and let it off, it'll actually suck the juice back from the chamber into the glass again, but you will have a slight flood. You do pull away, it's completely flooded, and it's going to be pissing out your air holes. So this is the best way I've found to do the filling process in this, when you're using a bottle that is the same size or bigger than our hole at the top. If you've got a needle, not a problem, just put your needle in and leave some space, the air will come out the top. But this is if you haven't. Now we've got needles indoors, I'm sure most of us, But in the real world, we don't fill it up indoors, you know, we fill it up on the go, we fill it up at work, we fill it up everywhere we are. And I wanted to demonstrate the best way I found to prevent it happening. So, close your air holes off as much as possible. I mean, the air holes are there, so get it down as halfway. There will still be a slight amount of airflow there. Now, second, kind of cover that hole there. Okay, that stops the air escaping. And then what you're going to do is grab your bottle and fill. Now air is still going to be trying to escape, but much less of it. In fact, I might try and squeeze a little bit more, because it does seem like a waste. Now bear in mind, we under primed that cotton in that chamber for this specific reason. Because, you know, if you'd have primed that cotton perfectly, I mean, bear in mind, when I have flooded it to the top, I have always under primed it. If I'd have primed it properly, you know, you're talking serious flooding issues. I'm not going to guarantee that this is the best way to fill it. The best way to fill it is with a needle nose bottle, but without a needle nose bottle, this is the best way in the time that I've been using it that I've found to fill it. So, that one there. Allen key, it does take a fair while. I'm very quickly just going to chuck a bit of juice around these O-rings, because I do find them to be particularly stiff. There we go. And then pop our cap back on. Pop, our drip tip in, and then we are ready to go. Now I'm going to just quickly see whether we've got a flooding situation going on here. A very slight one, but that's nothing that won't come out in the first couple of vapes. A little bit of e-liquid there. I'll clean that up, stick her on a mod, and then coming up to me and we'll have a nice little vape. Look at all that e-liquid, look at it. Right guys, welcome back up. Yeah, there you go, that was it in the close-up. I do want to say first of all though, I mean, most of you will agree, a very impressive coil in there for a starting coil. You know, these pre-builts are getting much better. The amount of cotton in that starting coil seemed ridiculous to me, absolutely ridiculous. It was so much in there, but on reflection, after having, you know, as I said, I went away and decided to stop being such a lazy git, and I actually used it for about an additional week. I'd already, you know, I was toying with the idea of not using it before I come on camera, but then you don't get a true review, so I did that first part of the close-up. I went away, and about a week I was predominantly using just this, and then, you know, back onto the camera. The channels, although from the top look quite small with that cap on, once that cap's on underneath, they're actually quite wide channels, so it wicks amazingly. So kind of the more the merrier in terms of cotton, as you see that I did in the close-up. Yeah, sorry guys, it does say vacuum tank system, great taste as a dripper. I mean, we'll get into the flavour. Adjustable airflow, you know, you see it in the close-up. The adjustable airflow is cool, because the standard, you know, the Kayfun Light version 1 didn't have that, and the version, you know, Light Plus is still not as wide as this. So, you know, it's nice to have more adjustment than you would have got. I know this isn't a Kayfun or a clone of a Kayfun, but it's a Kayfun style atomizer, so that's what I'm going to be comparing it to. Let me just have a little checkery doogan and see what we've got going on. 22mm wide, don't know if I said that. It does say here that it's got 24 gauge, so we've got 0.5 wire as standard macro. I don't disbelieve that, that's what it looked like to me. So we'll take them thicker wires that some of you may struggle with in a Kayfun. The main issue is that filling, and I'll get into that more as we go on. But I think what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to have a quick little vape, and then I'm going to do the 6-point hit list, and try and cover everything in that. So first of all, on the hit list is looks. Now on this it's ridiculous, but looks. Personally, I don't like it. I don't like that at all, to be perfectly honest with you. What I'd like to have seen is, you know, these ridges up here, get rid of them. Get rid of the gold-plated brass. Just give us brass. In fact, give us stainless steel. I don't like how little of the tank you see, to be honest with you. Now, that being said, it's not a bad looking tank. It's not my preference. For looks, for me, it's getting a 6. I think it's a bit of an ugly bugger, to be honest. It's very long, and it's very shiny and like woohoo and bling, and I like that sometimes, but just not in this kind of format. Sorry, but that's 6 for looks for me, and I think that's been a little bit generous. Now usability is next. Usability for me, well, it's fairly easy to build. Just make sure you put more cotton than you'd be used to putting in. It's very, very forgiving, this tank. If you're just starting, might not be a bad way to go. It is very forgiving. You can, in fact, flip it upside down and then take your build up like you could in a Kayfun, which is great stuff. You can't do that in a Kayfun. It's got adjustable airflow, which is fairly usable. You just spin this little ring here. But there are two niggles with this. First is the filling. Having to close it off, put your finger over, and you're still going to get a first 2 sort of flooded pulls. Now, not on SpainCigar, but on some other information, they recommend you don't fill this around more than three quarters full. Now, it claims 3.5ml capacity. I'm semi-skeptical to that anyway. I don't know about 3.5ml, possibly 2.5 to 3, in my opinion. Then take into account that they only want you to 3/4 fill it. Okay, so say for worst case example, it's 2.5ml. Then only can 3/4 fill it. You're getting more like 2ml, just over, if a 3/4 fill. In a tank, it's not good enough. It's not. There needs to be a redesign on that fill method. Now, even if what I did is in that deck there, when I flipped it upside down, you take the chamber away, and then you've got your tank section. In there you've got 2 holes, and then you've got your central hole that your airflow goes through. Add an additional hole with a screw. I would rather that than this silly fucking Allen key up the top, because Allen keys for filling, this is stupid. I thought we got well past this. But add a screw in the base, Phillips head, and then we'll unscrew that and fill it up similar to the EH Pro Pontus. That would be a better method. It wouldn't flood, and you could brim it, no problem. Okay, you'd lose a little bit as it moves down, but Jesus, rather that than the alternative. The other one is a major pain in my arse. Depending on what mod you've got it on, this base section here, so you've got that bottom bit, the ring, and then the bit that sits above that, and then this entire section will come off where the chamber is, unscrews from the bottom. Okay, so you can actually unscrew the deck that's got your 510 on. You then put your ring on and screw the other bit on top. Now that, when you're taking it off of here or some other mods, will undo. So as opposed to undoing the whole atty from your mod, or even just the tank from your deck and your build section with your chamber, you actually unscrew the build section, the chamber and the tank, but leave the connection, and it's a pain in the ass to get off. Now, I know I'm famous for over tightening things, a lot of people say this, but really I'm not. I really wasn't. This is just making contact, and even still it happened to me earlier. So that's another niggle. And then obviously, as I've said, the filling, which in regards is the Allen key, Allen key head. If you're going to make us fill it that way, at least give us a Phillips head screw, with my opinion. So usability, there are pain in the arsehole things. It is easy to coil, it is forgiving, it is, once you've got it all done and you kind of sussed how to fill it, it's not hard to fill, it's just not convenient. I'm going to give it a 6 for usability as well, to be honest with you, because I think it could be considerably better. That's just my opinion. Maintenance is next. Now, maintaining it's not particularly difficult. It's making sure your juice levels fill, and wick and coil. You can build this with a tank full of juice, which is an advantage, and filling it isn't super hard, but it's a pain. It's very shiny, this. If you're someone who doesn't like fingerprints, you're going to hate this. I mean, you may have seen the close-up, just that little bit of me handling it, it was covered in fingerprints. So if you're one of them, this is going to be like a nightmare for you. Maintenance, I'm going to give maintenance an 8, okay, because there are polishing involved and other bits and bobs that make it harder than other tanks. All 3 of them parts, all 3 of them marks so far, maintenance, usability and looks, the Kayfun is far superior in my book anyway, with the exception of build, possibly, because this is more forgiving build. The Kayfun's not hard, but this is slightly more forgiving for those of you that may like to ram too much cotton in. Yeah. Build quality and price would be next. Now, it's a touch over 20 quid. That's much cheaper than a Kayfun. Much cheaper than a Kayfun. So, for price, I'm giving it a 10. Build quality itself, it's pretty good. The machining feels pretty good. It's 304 stainless. It's polished up very nicely. Everything that fits together well. You get a bucket load of spares. The build quality is good. Okay, the design's got flaws, but the build quality is good. The build quality is a 10. So overall build quality and price, I'm going to give it a 10. It's cheap, and you're getting a decently built tank for that money. Flavour and vapour would be next. Now, this is where this thing shines in its flavour and vapour category, if you ask me. The vapour is a 10. Much more than you get from a Kayfun, because it's got a looser flow of air underneath it. So yeah, the vapour's getting a 10. The flavour is very good. The flavour is a 10. The flavour is 10 plus. In fact, it's a very nice vape. It's a crisp flavour. It delivers a great vape. The vape's not too cool. It's not too warm. It's kind of that mid-range, which I think is lovely. You know, the other advantages to this, I mean, apart from great flavour and a great vapour, because it does provide both, is a solid vape. In my opinion, certain juice is better than a Kayfun for flavour. It's got other advantages that a Kayfun doesn't have. I'm running this at the minute at 30 watts. If I put 30 watts through my Kayfun, it would die. Honestly, I would die. I'd be breathing in nothing but cotton fumes, because it wouldn't be able to keep up with the wicking. This is at 30 watts with an 80% VG juice, a VG heavy juice, and I'm vaping at 30 watts, no problem. It keeps up, you know. I had a higher PG juice, a 60% PG juice in this, and honestly, I could ramp it up to 35 watts. If I remove some of this cotton in here, if I wasn't really sure what juice I was going to put in until I grabbed it, but if I remove some of this cotton in here, I could use this thing at 40 watts with an 80% VG juice, and it would be fine. You know, and that for me gives you a broader spectrum for your flavour. It means, you know, certain like custards like to be run hard. Now don't get me wrong, Kayfuns are great for a custard vape, but I can't really run a high VG, sort of even a 60% VG juice in a Kayfun. I can't really run that above 18 watts with a good build. This, I can run it at 35 watts, and that for me is where custard tastes best. So, you know, that is a broader spectrum for your flavour tailorability if you're using a variable voltage or variable wattage device. And in turn means you can get more flavour from it. And the adjustable airflow is great as well, because, you know, you can increase that power and not be restricted to a small airflow like you are in a Kayfun. So for that reason, I believe it's better than a Kayfun in that regard. You have to work harder for it, though. But, you know, there you go. My overall, it's got things that piss me off, it has, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I think it's a great vape, I really do. I think it's performed spectacularly. Would I use it every day like I do my Kayfun? No, I wouldn't, because it's got them niggles that put me off it. My overall is going to be an 8. If you like to put a bit of work in, then it's a great vape. It really is. If you're happy with the niggles, or you want to improve on them niggles if you can, then go ahead. But the Allen key feel at the top, you know, it does my head in. And unlike the Kayfun, it's not like, because the glass is just sort of sat in there, it's not like you can top fill it to make your life easier. You have to fill it the way it recommends through that steady little fill hole. I've just had a thought. If I can get it to do it, which I can't get it to do what I want it to do, which is get me to remove the tank section from the deck. And realistically, I should have not been such a knob and thought about this beforehand. It's just literally come to me there. I was saying that they should put a fill screw in here like the HO Pontus, as well as the 2 holes. Well, it's got 2 holes in the bottom. You could fill this up through the bottom of the tank and then put your build section on it. Knob. You could do that, okay, and sometimes these things just don't come to you. You could do that, but that doesn't distract from the fact it's still a pain in the arse. And as I've just proven, I can't get that section off at the minute. It's just unscrewing the mod, and if I tighten the mod down to give me a little bit more resistance, it will then unscrew the base from the whole fucking lot, and it still haven't got it open. So it's still far from ideal, but you could do that if you wanted to. So maybe it makes it a little bit easier on your initial fill, but after that you probably have to go through the top anyway. And that's how it's designed to be filled, so I shouldn't have to change how I'm going to fill it. My overall is going to be an 8 because it's cheap, it's built well, and it does vape great. But the other stuff, you know, the niggles, don't go away. And for that reason, it's not something I'd use every day. And because of that, I can't, you know, give it an overall of a 10. Would I recommend it? If you're a tinkerer, yes I would. If you want an easy tank to use, no I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't recommend it. Because of those reasons. Simple as that, really. It's a shame because when I first tried it and had a vape, and I thought that is massively good vape, and it's good potential to be, you know, an everyday tank. And then when I was using it every day, not so much. Right guys, I'm pretty much done for review here. I am Mr. P. I want to just say a big thank you to the guys at SpainCigar for sending this down to me, and obviously thank you to you guys for watching. I shall see you soon.